everyone, and welcome. My name is Magaly Colimon-Christopher. I am the founder of Conch Productions and the first director of Conch International Film Festival and the co-host of our awesome CSIFF and Karukerament Podcast special edition interview series. This conversation is exciting to me because it sits at the intersection of storytelling, infrastructure, and global positioning. Are you hearing me? Yeah, That's what we're doing. And we're talking about Caribbean cinema, then and now. And it's not just what we're making, but it's how we are being supported, how filmmakers are being supported, seen, and sustained. And I'm being joined today by the founder of Karukerament Podcast, Maëlla Kancel. Whoa! She is co-hosting this series with me. And our special guest today is Natalie O, Hodge, film commissioner for the British Virgin Islands, and she also spearheads 284 Excellence Film Festival, a landmark initiative dedicated to showcasing Caribbean heritage storytelling and strengthening, not weakening, strengthening the region's ecosystem. And what's powerful here is we're coming together with media, Karukerament, CSP Artist Chat, Festival, 284 Excellence Film Festival, Conch International Film Festival. And because the reality of Caribbean heritage filmmakers is that there is no dominant studio system. Let's just talk real, okay? The distribution is fragmented at this moment. Visibility is inconsistent. 3 major booms. And yet, what? The work continues. We keep on doing. So let's get into it. I'm going to pass the baton on to Maëlla Kancel.
Thank you so much for having me once again, Magaly. It's really a pleasure to be here today with you and with Natalie. Natalie, from your perspective as a film commissioner, what has actually changed in Caribbean cinema over the past decade?
Over the past decade, I've been a film commissioner for 4 years now, going on 5. But I would say that over the past decade, what has changed is that festivals are now becoming a space where filmmakers' work can be viewed by large audiences, and the Caribbean film industry is able to tap into those film festivals, so they're able to showcase their work, showcase our culture and our heritage on a larger platform.
Do you feel like more and more people are interested in Caribbean cinema within the region and outside of the region?
Yes, I think more persons are interested because it gives you a vehicle where you can view authentic stories and view storytelling about our culture and our history and our legacy that comes from an authentic background and viewpoint from the filmmaker's point of view.
Your film festival went through a change. Tell us more about 284 and your journey from where you were prior to 2025.
So the festival started out as a film competition that initiated, it was born out of just an observance of the Film Commission having celebrated 25 years. This was an idea that I came up with as an observance of the anniversary event. Coming out of the competition, we started to hold it every year since 2022, we decided that we should transition into a film festival. With the film festival, just in having conversations with you, Magaly, and other persons, we decided we wanted to have a niche out for ourselves for this festival so that we're able to showcase Caribbean stories and able to adapt Caribbean author stories for the screen and just tell our stories, those Caribbean folklores, those stories we grew up with, books that we have read as children, having seen those adapted for screen and presented to the world.
And you also featured international Caribbean diaspora stories.
Yes, we did feature international Caribbean diaspora. We wanted to make sure we included those persons. And we also did just open up the festival to any genre, anything that anyone wanted to submit, just to be able to give them the opportunity to submit to the festival as well. Once you have a story that resonates with you, they were able to, translate those stories, adapt them for screen. That is still in development. It hasn't really taken flight, but we are still nurturing it. It's still a baby. It's still in its infant stages. And that's one of the reasons we did open up the festival, just to ensure we had a product. We had this festival, but that is a niche that we are carving out for ourselves. And we're going to continue to push that mandate of translating, adapting local, Caribbean author stories for screen.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I have a quick question. What did you discover? What are they going to be experiencing as a result of what you discovered last year?
We made the decision from the onset to include films from across the world, regardless of the genre, regardless of the storyline, the backdrop, the background, because we wanted to ensure a successful festival. And we know that because it's in its infancy stages, we have to develop it and promote it where we want to carve out those Caribbean stories. So we're hoping that the word gets out there. We did not have the volume of Caribbean authors we wanted to see that would have expressed their interest in having their work adapted for screen. So we're hoping that this year that we're able to see that increase. One of the other things I would say is education. I think that some of the filmmakers, the ones that I spoke to locally on the ground, some would have been a bit confused as to the concept, and I think they made it more complex than it even was. So we host an annual media production breakfast, and it's a networking event. And we were able to speak directly with filmmakers and tell them about what the concept is, and how we want to focus on telling Caribbean stories.
So when you're thinking about both incoming productions that are not necessarily being, presented at your festival, and local industry growth, how do you balance those two priorities? I mean, how do you ensure like the local filmmakers, and a filmmaker could be any member of the production team, they're not left out of the equation?
So, how my brain works is that outside of the marketing side of promoting the British Virgin Islands as a film destination, a film location, I also focus on at least once per quarter producing an initiative that is geared towards our local filmmakers. So we do have the networking annual breakfast I spoke about at the very top of the year. We recently hosted a Future Filmmakers Academy, which is geared towards 7 to 14-year-olds. Last year was a pilot program, and this year we had return students. So we ended up with a beginner session and an intermediate session. We have a summer film academy coming up. Last year we had from 13-year-olds up to 63-year-olds. And yes, and at the end of the year, we do have the film festival. Within the film festival, we have a student smartphone film competition. So we have a wide range of opportunities for our local filmmakers, and we try to make sure that we help them to improve their skill sets. We bring in facilitators from the film industry overseas. They are award-winning producers, Emmy-nominated producers, and they come in and they host our workshops. With our competitions, the competitions help me to determine where they're lacking in their skill sets. I'm able to see, we need some lighting courses. Let me find a producer who, wants some awards in lighting. Okay, we need help with documentary style storytelling. I'm gonna tap into a producer who has won an award in documentary telling. And so that is what we do. Our competitions help us to gauge where our local filmmakers need help. When we have productions who are coming as small as they may be, because we are not large scale location for productions such as maybe Trinidad, Barbados, or Jamaica. But when we do have productions come in, we try to make sure that they're willing to take on local filmmakers. We also know that with our workshops, we are helping them so that when productions do come, when the larger productions do come in and they say we need crew on the ground, they're able to provide assistance. So we also focus on when the productions come in, the workshops that we provide, our filmmakers will improve their skill set so that when productions come into BVI, they're able to assist with supplementing their crew. So they not necessarily have to bring in the entire crew. So we're working on that. I don't find that a lot of people get that aspect of my role. I think they might consider or think that the role is only about soliciting photography and soliciting videography. And that is not just what my role is about as a film commissioner. It's about supporting our local filmmakers. It's about making sure a lot of them have not left the island. So one of the things we also did last year was we with our summer academy, we transformed it into a production boot camp. So we had the hair and makeup stations, we had the wardrobe unit, we had the camera unit, we had the lighting unit, and they were able to take on specific roles and perform, as a real production crew. And so that is how we provide these opportunities for them to help them develop their skill sets.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Do you think Caribbean territories are currently positioned to retain their own stories? Because that's what you're trying to do. But if the territory is also attractive to people outside from the Caribbean, and are we still at risk of being used primarily as locations?
I think we are very much at risk of being used primarily as locations, in my opinion, in my role in terms of just going outside of the marketing side of the film commission. I think that persons outside will want to come in and tell their story and use it as a pretty backdrop. And I think the onus is on the Caribbean diaspora, the local filmmakers, to tell our authentic stories, to create those films that are submitted to film festivals so that we can tell our original and authentic stories. Recently, Amazon Prime came out with a movie, The Bluff, with Priyanka Chopra Jonas. That again speaks to Cayman culture, and it's filmed on one of Cayman's islands, and that speaks to their culture. They didn't dilute it. They didn't have to explain it. It was authentic to the island. So it's on us to use our resources and use the points and the positions that we get to bring productions to our region to tell our authentic stories and not allow other persons to tell those stories for us where it can be diluted.
I really liked what you said about the importance of staying authentic. But at the end of the day, when I see the final result, I don't see exactly how necessary it was to have them being on the project if it didn't show in the final result. We're so not used in Martinique and Guadeloupe, we're so not used to see ourselves on the big screen. I think it's also important to educate the audience to really define what authenticity is to us and not what authenticity is from someone else's perspective.
So I think I really love the points you made, Maëlla, and the points that you made, Natalie. Basically, is there a Caribbean story or are they culturally unique stories, right? So I'm loving the fact that most of the Caribbean felt, wow, it's a Caribbean story, it's shot in Caribbean, and these are familiar tales. But
Right.
the fact that someone from Martinique would say, that's not our story. That's a generic Caribbean story,
Correct.
So at Conch Productions, our goal is to find out what is the unique story from the 28 nations, as opposed to a wash of this is Caribbean, as though there is a Caribbean, or is there? Right? Is there such a thing as just a Caribbean story, or are there 28 unique stories to be told from 28 unique cultural backgrounds? And I love that. So I would like to segue into a conversation of the role of film festivals in how they impact the journey of Caribbean heritage filmmakers in cinema. How do we make space, since we are Caribbean, how do we make space for the unique voices, as opposed to being non-Caribbean and saying, oh yeah, that must be the Caribbean voice as opposed to the Tortolan voice, the Martinican, the Haitian, the Puerto Rican, so on and so forth.
My biggest obstacle to watch Caribbean films when I started Karukerament back in 2019, it was accessibility and film festivals that were held online during the pandemic and a little bit during 2021 were really a huge help to watch Caribbean films. Getting to attend virtually film festival really helped me to broaden my horizons and also to realize how much we have to say and what topics people are interested in, and to see those similarities and also the differences, because behind the word Caribbean, to me, there's also the fact that we are diverse, and this diversity is very unique in the world. There's no other place like like the Caribbean.
Caribbean focused film festivals gave you an opportunity to experience a massive number of Caribbean storytelling, and keeping it online is a plus. And I agree. So we always try our best to have an opportunity for people who aren't in New York to see the films that we're sharing with the world. So thank you for sharing that, Maëlla. What about you, Natalie?
I believe that the film festivals provide opportunities for filmmakers to be able to network and to learn and to connect. And I think that this is an opportunity they may not have had previously to film festivals, as Caribbean filmmakers having that access to film festivals. Now their work is being able to be viewed by, different audiences, a wide audience, global audiences, different persons within the film industry. So it's giving them visibility, it's giving them training, learning opportunities, networking opportunities, access to persons in the industry who are able to, connect with them and guide them on their journey and probably assist with distribution and funding and other areas like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And what about you, Magaly? Since you launched the festival, what are the differences that you see, and what are maybe something that you didn't think of that happened in the way that you were picturing the festival to be?
For me, I wanted to create a space where we were not niche. People of Caribbean heritage, whether they're diaspora or native, were not niche storytellers, that they were the dominant storyteller. And I wanted to create a space where filmmakers could come together, network, and potentially build their next project together. And how do we find each other if not in these spaces? I go to Tribeca, I've gone to TIFF, I've gone to the big film festivals and felt I was lost in an ocean where I didn't know who was who and I didn't know who to bond with that could further my goals, as I'm also a filmmaker, that would be really organically interested in the stories I have to tell. And so for me, when we founded the film festival, it was first online, and that's how we met, Maëlla, because you were a huge supporter of us as our media partner. It was kind of a sad but truthful gift to start online because we couldn't have afforded to do it in person, because there's no doubt film festivals cost money to present, to produce.
Yes.
And by starting online, we built the awareness of our intention, of our purpose in a very international community. And thanks to your relationships with filmmakers, Maëlla, we met some amazing Spanish speaking, French speaking, English speaking artists who perhaps we might not have met had we not started online. And I have to say, I also discovered the beauty of the support system that exists. The only thing that still stuns me is when a filmmaker says, "I didn't know there was such a thing as a Caribbean Film Festival." So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that conversations like this will um, end that myth that we don't exist. There are a number of film festivals out there celebrating Caribbean heritage voices overall and not just one particular community's voice. Um, bringing people together. What are your thoughts on the financial end of keeping these festivals moving forward? So, what are the benefits of you branching off from being a part of the tourism board and becoming a separate entity? How is that a plus as opposed to being supported by the tourism board?
I face the same challenge with getting funding in terms of we do have some allocated funding for the festival to be able to develop the festival, but I think it's difficult being funded by the government. So one of the things that we are working towards is separating the film commission from being a part of the tourism board so that it becomes this independent body. When we reach out to the community to contribute to the film festival, it is a challenge for us because we're a very small island. We're probably one of the smallest in the Caribbean. And a lot of businesses talk about corporate responsibility, but their corporate responsibility lies in education. And not everybody sees the film industry and our film academy as being a priority when it comes to education. And for the festival, when in its inaugural stage last year, we received a lot of support because I think people were like, okay, well, it's the inaugural event, I will contribute. And I think this time around, it's very hard. We're tapping into the same persons. And, I guess it's, well, we helped you in the first round, we helped you with the inauguration. And, it's difficult. It's difficult to channel the funding to develop the film festival. It is expensive. Film festivals are not made to generate money. What it does is to showcase the creativity of filmmakers. And with that, you hope that filmmakers and producers will come to your festival. One of the things that we know is that filmmakers love to talk about their films. They love to be present if their films are being screened. So that is where revenue is generated when they come to your country. Producers come in. And, it trickles throughout the economy when it comes to accommodation and transportation and, the hospitality industry. So it is difficult to justify the exorbitant funds that you'll be spending to execute a film festival, and not have a return on investment, especially when you are reporting to the government.
So since we're talking about Caribbean diaspora filmmakers, I think one of the things that a lot of filmmakers don't always think about when they work on the film, it's how they can market their film. And there's a way to do it, marketing strategies to figure out. So for you, Natalie, are you filmmakers, are they encouraged to think about their work to reach a global audience?
I think they do think about how to present the story to the world. I think for those in the Caribbean diaspora, they also think about the global presentation of their storytelling with the title, everything that goes into the production. I think that they consider a global reach.
Speaking about reach, sustainable distribution pathways are always a conversation point, right? In your experience as a film commissioner and in your prior experience in media, what do you think needs to exist for Caribbean filmmakers to have a sustainable distribution pathway? Is it new policies, regional collaborations, partnerships? What is the thing to have, or are they all three required?
I think we need to have regional partnership and collaboration. I think we need to have a distribution system in place to support Caribbean filmmakers. I think that's where they're lacking in getting their work seen. So I think that a support system as it relates to distribution. I know our filmmakers struggle with that when it comes to packaging, distribution, funding, financing, and I think a lot of filmmakers who, have their main job and then filmmaking might be their second job, and it kind of blends into their work, but then it becomes sort of a hobby because it's not their main focus. I think they struggle with that, with the funding, with the distribution, with packaging and getting this audience. I think that's where support is needed, having those resources, the partnerships and the collaboration in the Caribbean region to support Caribbean filmmakers as it relates to those topics.
And do you feel in your experience that there's a growing awareness among all film commissions throughout the 28 nations that it might behoove everyone for there to be a collaboration between them? Is that a conversation happening now that we don't know about?
I don't think the collaboration is happening. What I do think is that film commissions obviously focus on bringing productions to their specific region, country, but they don't necessarily, it's not a competition, so they're not competing. But in terms of support, as a support network for filmmakers, that conversation is not happening.
Right.
In my experience.
So, Maëlla, do you have a closing question?
I wanted to talk about the support that media can show to the local Caribbean cinema industries. How can media support the growing of Caribbean cinema?
I think media can help to provide a platform for filmmakers to be able to talk about their production, showcase their production. We have media companies that have their own local streaming platforms, and Mana has reached out to us to showcase the films that would have entered in our film competitions, and they have access to showcase those films throughout the Caribbean as well. So that's helping the local filmmakers with visibility, covering the festivals within each country to promote that festival, which would in turn promote and bring awareness to those filmmakers' work. Giving them a platform to speak about their work, speak about themselves, and just showcasing their work as best as they can within their system, their ecosystem.
And I have to share an exciting piece of information. I recently interviewed the CEO of Render Yard, Gillian Isabel, of Jamaican heritage, and her focus is to create that opportunity online. They're one of our partners for our film festival, and they're presenting a prize to one of our filmmakers, which will be helping them with the distribution of their film. What is the future for a thriving Caribbean film ecosystem? And I know there was mention of distribution. There was mention of collaboration. Anything else?
Policies, I think, consistent production. So I think we will see an increase in that, and having Caribbean stories that are visible globally and accessible globally. So I think those are the main points. The investment in our filmmakers, policy, distribution, the support and the partnerships and the collaboration, and just access to the work.
Thank you,
Globally.
Maëlla?
For me, a thriving Caribbean film ecosystem would be people in the region being able to go to their local theaters and get to see at least one film from the Caribbean, and also that we get to see more collaborations between islands, like, maybe a story featuring someone from Guadeloupe and another character from Dominica and another character from Puerto Rico. I would love to see more stories that would blend our different cultures, our different Caribbean cultures. And the last thing I would think of, so to get that, I really hope that filmmakers will work on getting subtitles for their films. Not everybody speaks not everybody speaks another language. And I think now people are used to read subtitles. So we should definitely go for that and make sure that people get to understand the film that they're watching.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
I would think for me, for there to be a sustainable ecosystem, there would have to be a unification of funds, right? Like all the nations, all the diaspora members investing in this one organization that funds our work. It doesn't necessarily have to be nonprofit, but something so that filmmakers can say, oh, there's the fund that we can all go to, whether you are from Guadeloupe living in Paris, or if you're from Haiti living in Finland. There is a fund to support the Caribbean diaspora voice, and so that you can tell your story, knowing that you're telling a story for a community that cares about your story, your perspective of what it means to be human. That is what I feel is required. And so on that note, I want to thank you, Natalie, for joining Maëlla and I today. I
Thank you.
feel inspired, but I want you to tell us a bit more about the deadline for submitting to your film festival and when your film festival is taking place in Tortola.
Our film festival takes place on the 29th of October to the 1st of November. We do have regional screenings, international screenings, local screenings, and then the final night on the 1st of November, we have an awards and closing ceremony. Our deadline is July 31st. I think that's the late deadline to get your film submitted. And we do have our Facebook and website, which is 284excellencefilmfestival.com.
Fantastic. And for those watching on our channel, Conch International Film Festival takes place October 9th to 11th in New York City. Go visit our website to learn more. And our deadline, our final deadline is July 21st, but regular deadline is July 1st. So 2 places to share your story. Don't be shy. Send your submissions. And Maëlla, thank you so much for being part of this conversation because Maëlla is a font of information. So, Natalie, I'm definitely going to send you her email because you
Thank you so
want
much.
to have her as part
Thank
of.
you.
Thank you, everyone, for watching
Thank you.
tonight, and be part of the ecosystem. And when you look at their website and at our website, be sure to support us with donations because we're trying to make a lot happen for our community, and we need our community to support us. You are part of the ecosystem. You're not an audience member. You are part of the ecosystem. Support the work, watch the films when they come. If you're not in Tortola, if you're not in New York, the films will be online for your film festival, right, Natalie?
Yes.
Our films will be available online after our film festival. Watch the films. Show up for each other. There are millions of people of Caribbean heritage, and some people don't even know who they are. Everyone support because that's how Caribbean heritage cinema grows. Thank you. And
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
thank you.